I'm tasting vanilla ice cream, Oreo cookie, the mini M&Ms, and the Snickers bar pieces.
And I take a bite, it's like, there it is! Oreo piece showed up to party and brought its friends.
The trick-or-treat blast. Party in my mouth.
Oh yeah.
Time now for episode 8 of Film Room with Coach Chris Jans. Adam Young with Coach. And Coach, our topic today is Shunn Buchanan, a guy who didn't always fill up the stat sheet, but boy, was he a big part of your program the previous 3 years.
He certainly was. He was a big part of a lot of wins. Let's just be honest. I mean, as he progressed and matured as a person and as a player, he just bought into what we were selling and was a big part of our leadership team behind the scenes, and especially as a senior. It was a joy to coach him. He played in 100 games for the Aggies. I'm not sure what his winning percentage was, but it was pretty darn high. And like you mentioned, if you just scanned his stats, you wouldn't think he influenced winning that much. His percentages weren't very good from the field, from the three, even from the free throw line. There was nothing that really stood out on the stat sheet that would prompt you to think that he was a major player on a really good program. But people that really understood ball, certainly people in our locker room, understood the impact that he made on our program from the time he arrived to the time he left.
Let's take a look at the film, Coach. Did he come in as a good defender right away?
He was a pretty good defender. But like most players, was more interested on the offensive end than he was the defensive end. He took to the drills that we did. He got in the weight room. He really worked on his body, and eventually, that was his calling card. He wasn't very big in stature, but before his career was over, it just seemed to me that he always ended up guarding, when he was in the game, the other team's best perimeter player, and took it on as a challenge. And then, because of his personality and because of his leadership qualities, the other guys on the team bought into it. And he was a guy, a little bit throwback in a way, that he wasn't afraid to get up on his stool and preach a little bit, which you don't find very often in today's game. But it started with his on-ball defense. He just was really good at guarding the ball. He took a lot of pride in it. He was a prideful guy. And one thing we talk about a lot is keeping the ball away from your body, keeping a length, trying to put a lot of pressure on the ball, but at the same time, don't have unnecessary fouls and don't give up angles. And Shunn was as good as we've ever had at it. As you can see here, when this player drives, he keeps pushing back, all right, and not giving the official a chance to call a foul. And then in the end, do his best job you can to contest any shot that they put up. Right here, he's just shielding and showing his hands. He's not giving the official a chance to call. A lot of players at the last minute will come down on the shot attempt and give the officials, especially on the baseline, a chance to call a ticky-tack foul. And we preach that to our guys, and Shunn is showing us a great example of it right there. Again, guys trying to drive him, he's keeping his length. He's not letting the ball get into his body. And when they're driving it, all right, if they spin, he tries to build that real estate. When a lot of people spin, they don't push back, and then the ball gets into their bodies, they put their hands on them, boom, there comes the whistle. And Shunn was good at understanding angles and not letting that ball get into his body. And as much ball pressure as we preach, once they put it on the floor, you're done with that. Now you're showing your hands. You're showing your hands and keeping that length between you and the ball handler. Again, contesting it, but not fouling the jump shooter, making it hard on him.
Coach, you said on a podcast with us a few weeks ago that Fred VanVleet is just a really smart basketball player. Do you feel like Shunn's maybe the smartest guy that you've coached here?
Maybe. I'd have to think about it a little bit longer, but Shunn had a lot of Fred qualities, especially on the defensive end. Was really had a lot of tenacity and toughness, was built kind of like Fred. Didn't necessarily have the offensive arsenal that Fred had, but had a lot of the same leadership qualities. And just like Fred, was one of the big reasons why his program won a lot of games while he was there. can see he's applying ball pressure to a really good player, but he's keeping that length, and then he's anticipating the ball being bounced, and he's going to push back, show his hands, all right, and try to keep that length. All right. Now, obviously, once you get toward the goal, at that point, you got to skin to skin and body up a little bit, and not let them just put you in the basket. He was the best. I mean, he's the best I've ever coached when it came to anticipating charges. He was a nightmare to officiate because he was so good at it. And even though it may be an illusion of a charge, the officials had to think, man, that's too good. I have to blow the whistle in his favor.
Do you think he worked the officials a little bit too?
I don't know. I'd be a better served to ask him. But all I know is he made some game-changing charges. And here he is on the defensive end again, off the ball now. This is a great possession. All right, watch him. All right, this is his first year. He's in the gap. He's off the ball. All right, the ball handler drives it, and he's going to scrape at the ball with the hand closest to the ball without fouling it and without giving up, is jeopardizing his position with his own man. He's going to scrape once, doesn't get it, stays in position. He's going to scrape again. Boom, he gets that one. And then he's always first to the floor. But he had very quick hands. Very quick hands. He would scrape that ball, and then we'd try to turn defense into offense. Now here he is on the weak side, and this is just him making a play. This is him seeing the ball handlers not looking at him. His eyes aren't facing the basket, and he just makes an instinctive play on his own. This isn't a theme that we were trying to do, or a scheme, if you will, on the defensive end. He spent a lot of time on the floor. You know, he spent a lot of time on the floor of the court. Boom. That's a big-time play. Big-time play.
And he was huge for you last year, Coach. When AJ goes down, Shunn Buchanan's minutes skyrocketed.
You know, certainly we weren't happy with the injury situation, but it was comforting knowing that we had Shunn Buchanan there and that he wasn't afraid of the big moment. He was going to take on any challenge that was presented to him. And as the older he got, the more comfortable he became in the role that we thought was best for him. Certainly, like all players, when they first arrived, they want to be the leading scorer, because most of them have been. And it took him a little while to understand that too, but he gravitated towards the end of his career. Now he is with the ball. He always made pretty good reads to hit the roll guy, the pop guy, the space guy, what have you, depending on the defensive coverage. Didn't try to make a ton of highlight passes, not home run passes, just try to make simple plays, which to me are great plays. And sometimes it's hard to get players to understand that. Just hit the open man. Just hit the open man, draw the defense, kick it, hit the open man. He was really good at this. He's wide open. Most players are going to take that shot, but he knows, hey, number 10 might be a little better shooter than I am. I'm going to give him the wide open horse shot instead. And that's a great unselfish act. Here we get an offensive rebound, which we look for threes on those situations. Again, wide open. He's wide open. He's like, number 55, Sean Williams, probably a little better shooter than me. And this is a big moment. It's an early home game. We're only up 6, and he gives it up. That was a dagger shot. Pretty good in transition, seeing the court. Again, just hitting the open man. Paint to pass, hitting the open man, making winning plays. Always eyes up, seeing what's ahead of him. He understands the pass is better than the dribble, trying to find open guys. This is something we use in the film room all the time. We try to give our guys credit when they make winning plays. Sean will get no credit for that, but he made the hockey assist. And he made a ton of these in his career. Look at him in there just putting his body on people, fighting for loose balls. Taking a big charge against a bigger player. Not many guys are willing to do that in this day and age. Guy's going full speed, he just takes it right square. And that became contagious for our rest of our team and really helped us during his career here to be a better charge-taking team.
Coach, good stuff. Appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Adam.
From defensive star to offensive star, next week we'll break down former Aggie sharpshooter Zach Lofton. For Coach, I'm Adam Young. So long, and thanks for joining us for Film Room with Chris Jans.